他确实没把我当他的男人，他告问我的妻子，吃无言，没让我碰他一下。
你以什么身份提出这个要求的呢？什么逻辑？还恬不知耻！
It is truly infuriating. After marriage, the wife despised her honest husband, never allowing him to touch her, but instead treating him like a dog, making him wash clothes and cook meals, and even demanding that he hand over his entire monthly salary for her to squander. Now she even uses the excuse of going out to work to abandon her husband and children, never returning home. The husband could no longer endure it, became completely enraged, and publicly exposed even more of the disgraceful things his wife had done.
调整一下自己的心态吧，过一个正常男人的生活吧。他确实没把我当他的男人，我没有真正跟他做一次夫妻。他告问我的妻子，吃无言，没让我碰他一下，他又不够资格，这叫划分线。我挨得下去，拿剪子跟了一下，手上脚上到处是大脸小白眼，
一派胡言，没有说像他说的用剪刀，因为他长期身上很邋遢，从来不洗澡、不刷牙、不洗脚，他跑到床上去睡，然后动手动脚的，我当然会拒绝。
The fair-skinned, attractive, shapely woman in front of us is Yanz, and the honest, simple man beside her is her husband, Mr. Chong. Mr. Chong said with displeasure that after marriage, he had not shared a bed with his wife for 4 or 5 years, and she wouldn't even let him touch her. Every time he tried to be intimate with his wife, he was met with her resistance. Mr. Chong racked his brain but could not understand. Clearly they were a legally married couple, so why would she treat him this way? After hearing this, the wife, with a face full of disdain, said there was a reason she did not let her husband touch her. Her husband worked as an auto mechanic, coming home every day covered in dirt. Without showering, he would want to get into bed, which disgusted her, let alone engage in marital relations. The host was puzzled. Could it be that her husband never showered all year round? Would that be enough reason for her to refuse her husband's affection? Before Yanz could respond, Mr. Chong, dissatisfied, said that was absolutely not the case. There had only been a few times when he went to bed without showering, and that was because it was the middle of winter with heavy snow, and by the time he finished repairing cars it was already late at night. Plus, he had to get up early the next morning for work, so he didn't shower on those occasions. Seeing her excuse exposed, Yanz did not panic. What was the real reason that would make a wife so resistant to her own husband, refusing even the slightest touch? When Yanz revealed the truth, it shocked everyone present.
我们现在的生活的地方是一个没有水源的地方。
寻找什么的借口？
是的，我跟这个男人之间一丁点感情都没有，我根本不愿意他碰我，最根本的原因就在这里。
Yanz tried to argue that it was inconvenient to shower at home, but her husband mercilessly exposed the lie. Embarrassed and angry, she began to blame her husband, and with disgust told him not to interrupt while she was speaking. Then, with an air of superiority, she declared that she had no feelings whatsoever for the man before her, and deep down she looked down on this cowardly husband. She was fair-skinned and beautiful, had the figure and the looks, while her husband was just a poor, dirty mechanic. That was why she had refused to let him touch her all these years. Hearing these words, one really wanted to slap her. The husband worked hard outside, not caring about dirt or fatigue, earning money for her to spend, while she shamelessly enjoyed the fruits of his labor without fulfilling her responsibilities as a wife, and even dared to despise him. Before the husband could explode, a guest in the audience angrily rebuked her, teaching her how to behave. What followed was truly satisfying to watch.
他告问我的妻子，吃无言，没让我碰他一下。
讲话不要指手画脚的，我不想跟你讲话。我跟这个男人之间一丁点感情都没有，我根本不愿意他碰我，最根本的原因就在这里。
你有什么资本这么高高在上啊？你们两个人无性的婚姻，无爱的生活，想一想都很可怕。无论男方做的对也好，错也好，她始终像一个高贵的公主。你是长得很美吗？你是身材很傲娇吗？你有哪一样？你有什么资本这么高高在上啊？
谢谢你给的宝贵意见。
不用谢，不用谢。我觉得你现在最大的福气是你找到了这个男人。
我最大的福气是听到你给我的宝贵意见。
Facing the guest's angry criticism, Yanz was completely unmoved. Instead, she spoke righteously, confronting the guest head-on, and everything she said revealed that she saw herself as high above others. The guest was completely angered by Yanz's hopeless attitude, scolding her to recognize her own worth and not to think of herself as some prize. Yanz looked on with disdain, raising her voice in reply. Seeing that the situation on stage was about to spiral out of control, the host hurriedly stepped in to smooth things over, asking Yanz, since she looked down on this man so much, why did she marry him in the first place? Then, when Yanz revealed the truth, everyone was left astonished.
我们是别人在中间介绍的，因为我之前谈的都是几个外地的，我妈说太远了嘛，她想把我叫到本地。第一次见面的时候，我头一低就是这样，看着蛮少的，我就跟我妈说不行。
那后来怎么就结婚了呢？
With a face full of disgust, Yanz said that she met her husband through a blind date. At the time, she had been working in big cities outside and had dated several men from other places, but her mother opposed her marrying far away. Helpless, she could only return home for local matchmaking. Then, expressing her displeasure, she said that during their blind date her husband looked like a country bumpkin, and she didn't like him at all. Because she dressed fashionably and had seen the world in big cities, she thought the other party was just a silly rural boy. Everything Yanz said was dripping with disdain for her honest, simple husband. The host, puzzled, asked, if she didn't like him, how did they end up getting married? Yanz, with confidence, said that it was her mother who persuaded her, telling her that the man's family was honest, and after marriage he would be caring and helpful. With the idea of slowly building affection in marriage with an honest man who would treat her well, she agreed to the match. But she never expected her wooden husband to be so unromantic, making married life dull and flavorless. Hearing his wife's complaints, Mr. Chong immediately became unhappy. He said that after the blind date, his parents made inquiries and found that the woman had a bad reputation outside. Since they had no further contact afterward, he thought the matter was over. Later, it was his mother-in-law who personally came over to persuade them, and the wife also took the initiative to express her interest in him, so his family accepted the match. Moreover, he didn't treat his wife as she claimed. He spoiled her like a princess after marriage, letting her do no work at all, enjoying herself at home. Anything she wanted, he gave her without question. He even recalled once working overtime until midnight in the middle of winter when it was snowing heavily, and his wife called saying she was hungry. Without hesitation, he rushed home to cook for her. He gave her all his love, but she wouldn't even let him touch her, and instead looked down on him. It was truly disheartening. After hearing her husband's grievances, what Yanz did next shocked everyone present.
他确实没帮我当男人，他责问我的妻子吃无盐，没让我碰他一下。
你以什么身份提出这个要求的呢？什么逻辑？还恬不知耻！
这个婚我非离不可，这段婚姻已经没有任何值得我留恋的地方了。
所有的东西前面骗光了不说，还让我离婚，他这个人太狠了，太毒了。主要的问题他是在外面找人了。
你拍了照吗？有事实吗？还有第三方在等吗？
天上有太阳，地下有月亮，这都是事实。
半年多没见面了是吧？
又没有打电话，又没回来看过。
我就不屑于跟他骂，我就觉得跟他骂的没意思，所以我就先走了呀。
但我爸爸跟他妈妈打电话，他说他失踪了。
当时究竟是发生了什么样的事情呢？
因为他每个月叫我给5000块钱的，最少5000。
持续了有多久了
？8年。
他说的不是事实。
不是事实，你可以问所有人。
那我说话的时候你就不要打他，因为他要进货，他让我倒拿钱，他不仅不给钱我，相反还要我拿钱给他。那个时候。
哪个是啊？他这个人最会测谎的，这几年呢，每一分每一厘钱全部给他去。
Mr. Chong, seeing Yanz so shameless, was completely infuriated. He said that for years, it was bad enough that she wouldn't let him touch her, but she also demanded that all his income be handed over to her every month. Once, when his shop was short on funds for buying stock, he asked her to take out some savings to help, but she claimed she had no money. After 7 or 8 years of marriage, he had not saved a single penny, as everything went to her, and now he didn't even know where the money had gone. When he repeatedly asked, she said, wasn't the money given to her meant to be spent? It had long been used up. After that, Mr. Chong became cautious and stopped giving her all his earnings. But then she made trouble, using this as an excuse to leave for work outside and never return home. Over half a year later, she took the initiative to contact him, and Mr. Chong, seeing a chance, reconciled with her. After reconciling, he still gave her 5,000 yuan every month without fail, but now he had to personally deliver the money to the place where she worked.
我说我这8年1分钱都没有存，他头2年吃在家里，每天每一分钱都给他去了。后来他带武汉去了，慢慢涨4、5千、5、6千，我每个月送过去。
你每个月会有那么一天，换上衣服，干净的衣服给老婆送钱去。
要给送钱去了。
老婆每次见到你送钱来， 住在武汉，那老婆对你好吗？
挨着猛，挨就不要挨一下，碰也不别碰他一下。
你给他
晚上睡
多少钱呢？是不是给钱给少了，他对你不
不少啊
冷不淡？，
他要多少我给多少啊。
那就这样，你还愿意给他钱吗？
他骗我，他说给孩子长大了买房子读大学，我就是追着这个梦想，所以我拼命赚钱，一分钱都不留，全部给他去了。
A guest joked, "Each time you went to give your wife money, after she got it, was she especially nice to you?" Mr. Chong helplessly said that each time she counted the money happily, she would immediately change her face, and still wouldn't let her husband touch her. The guest, puzzled, asked why he was still willing to hand over all his hard-earned money. Mr. Chong, angrily, said that this was because his wife was eloquent. She claimed the money was being saved for their children to buy a house and go to college in the future. Because of this goal, he worked day and night, never keeping a cent for himself. Yet every time he needed money, she refused to take any out. After that, Mr. Chong stopped giving her money and saved it himself. At first, she caused a big scene, but later she simply disappeared without a trace. Now, more than half a year later, she suddenly showed up, wanting to come home and asking him to make up all the money from the months she had been gone. Mr. Chong felt she must have a motive. With an air of superiority, Yanz said she didn't come back specifically to take money. No matter what, she was the children's mother, and this was her home too. Mr. Chong scoffed. Half a year with no news, and now she remembers there is still a child at home? Seeing she couldn't explain it away, Yanz decided to come clean.
两个人发生了冲突，那您这一次找丈夫要钱，
这一次主要是为了拿钱，这一次是因为我们工作的地方生意不太好，所以我回家休息一段时间，然后其次才是拿这个钱。
啊，就是说您现在在武汉打工的地方生意不好，
对，
回家休养一段时间，
对，
调整一下，
是的，
顺带着把这个钱。
Yanz confidently said that she had gone to work outside and not returned home because her husband stopped giving her money, so she left in anger. Now, because business at her workplace was bad and she couldn't keep working, she chose to return home to rest for a while, and secondly to take the 5,000 yuan per month her husband had promised since their marriage. Hearing this, Mr. Chong was furious and shouted that she could forget it. In 7 or 8 years of marriage, she had used the excuse of saving for the children to squander all their savings, and had abandoned her husband and child to live freely outside. Now that she couldn't make it outside, she wanted to come home? Dream on. Then Mr. Chong angrily declared that from now on, he would not give her a cent, and he wanted a divorce. He was her legal husband, yet she never let him touch her, making him live like a bachelor. Yanz, seeing that her usually obedient husband was serious this time, began to panic. She hurried to admit fault, saying it was her mistake for not fulfilling her duties as a wife, and hoped her husband would give her another chance for the sake of giving the child a complete home. Mr. Chong, hearing her mention the child, softened and hesitated. After a few minutes of silence, he looked up at the woman before him, his gaze colder than a winter night. 7 or 8 years of marriage. You wouldn't let me touch you, you ignored the child, and treated me like an ATM. Today you came back, not because of love, but because you couldn't survive out there. He paused, his voice low and sharp. The day you left, this home no longer had a place for you. With that, Mr. Chong turned and walked away without looking back. What remained was the woman's frozen expression, and a long-suppressed shout from the guest, "Should have done this long ago."
This marriage was perhaps doomed from the start. Yanz despised her husband's job, appearance, and income, yet was perfectly content to enjoy all his effort and hard work. Mr. Chong's years of patience and repeated forgiveness were repaid not with gratitude, but with more demands and harm. Some say he should have left such a woman long ago. Others believe that for the sake of the child, perhaps she deserved another chance. But the truth is, once love has been completely exhausted, no reason can bring it back to life. If it were you, facing a woman who for years never let you touch her, drained all your savings, and even left home, would you choose to forgive or to walk away? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.